You're
Nobody will
calling
be able
upon
to
the
touch
Indian
the
state
integrity of our
to
country.
engage with sane Naxalites. I wonder if that's an oxymoron or do they really exist? But Arinda, I want
No,
your
all the
comments on this.
Naxalites are not so determined.
Okay.
Rahulji, all the Naxalites are not so determined. There are marginal elements. There are substantial number of people who have joined the Naxal movement because they were misguided. And at the same time, we cannot deny the fact that there are some hardcore elements also. Hardcore elements who are posing a military challenge to our union, who are posing a military challenge to our state, they have to be dealt with sternly. There cannot be any mercy to them. But such people who are misguided and who have joined the Naxalite movement for redressal of certain minor or local grievances, such people can be brought to the mainstream without much difficulty. That is my belief.
Okay, Harinder, the fact is, if we compare the level of difficulty the ISI would face in mounting an attack across from Pakistan and compare it with what they can achieve in India, it really shows you why it makes perfect sense for the ISI to be able to trying to forge this sort of a nexus on the ground in India.
It absolutely fits their theory, which is to bleed India with 1,000 cuts, and they would fish in murky waters. And definitely remember the spread of Naxalism. It goes across 200 plus districts, so it's a wide territory for them to operate out of. And what the Bangalore Commissioner is talking about in terms of development, Rahul, interestingly, I was sitting in the room of a senior officer in the Ministry of Home Affairs, and on his computer he had this presentation which talked about taking development into these districts where Naxalism is higher. And I said, oh, that's an interesting presentation, and he turned around and he clicked on it and showed it to me, and he said, it'll take me 7 years to reach some of these places. Now 7 years is a very long time, for the government to reach there and for the ISI.
Oh, the ISI is not going to wait that long. Professor Bhadro, it really is alarming. You're saying the Naxalites aren't doing it, but we're seeing from the accounts that we've got, the reports from the Intelligence Bureau, Ministry of Home Affairs, Mr. Bidari himself, his investigation really indicating that regardless of whether you want to accept it or not, it does seem that on the ground there is this tie-up that is forming, this cocktail of terror, and India needs to be aware of it.
Again, I say you have overplayed the report, and it is the intelligence and the police and the government has become imperative on their part to give a bad name and before killing them. When peace dialogue is opening up, when there is a hope of dialogue with them to resolve the issues, then the Azad was deliberately killed by the police in fake encounter to scuttle the peace dialogue, and now come up with all this bogus, unfounded theory to put them bad name and eliminate them physically, militarily, and military repression should be the policy. That is the ideas of the people who are talking in the studio. But we are in favor of that. In the name of the security, you cannot cut the liberty, you cannot cut down to sizes the liberty, and you cannot sacrifice liberty, number one, in the name of the security. Number two, that you have to talk with the people who are in the movement and who have a social base, nevertheless, and resolve the issue. And without doing that, coming up with this bogus theory, even in USA, when they attack Iran, when they attack Iraq, Saddam Hussein, they said intelligence report have fabricated that they have mass destruction weapon. Now it is the proof. This is absolutely wrong, fabricated report prepared by the intelligence.
So there have been 600 deaths. There have been more than 600 deaths over the last few months in Naxal attacks. These are not fabricated reports. It's a fact of India. These people are terrorists. They need to be brought down. Of course, development is important.
You talk of Afghanistan, opium war, opium pumping fund. Now you are again come up with ISI. But you never take a special report on Azad killing. You never blame the police official on the special branch who killed Azad and other Hind Pandey to scuttle the peace dialogue. You never condemn them. You are one-sided in an ultra-nationalist manner, in a hawkish manner. You are preaching all this and
the toughest part about the battle against the Naxals is that there are intellectuals and human rights activists across the country who continue to support them despite the grave atrocities, despite the mass murder that they perpetrate. People just don't open their eyes.